The Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the most recent Avengers film. Marvel Marvel's Avengers Endgame. Or was it just Avengers Endgame? But in any case, let's see how we went. So Marvel's The Avengers, or Avengers Assemble in the UK and Ireland, to differentiate it from the Avengers starring and appeal the On Her Majesty's Secret Service character. I didn't know she had a full name for Colby Smulders. That's very interesting. In any case, so this is part of the Avengers sub-series, I guess, but it doesn't really follow. It started with Josh Whedon making the Avengers, more of a Scooby-Doo type group where they argue and stuff. Originally had a script by Zach Penn. He did Alphas and Sci-Fi. He did X2, X-Men: The Last Stand. So he did work on some X-Men films. He directed the documentary film Atari Game Over. He did a comic book called Hero Worship. What did that have to do with like X2 and the themes? I really like The Last Action Hero, Mad Meta. I don't know if there were Mad Meta in Avengers Assemble. Do not recall. He was also an Elektra. Very interesting. Probably not his fault that was bad. Let's see, this is not the John Cena film. Charlie's Angels, Suicide Squad 2, Ready Player 1. So, it does have some interesting Josh Whedon stuff, like the Scooby Gang stuff. It felt like a crossover, etc. He fought as the Guardian God, which makes it feel a little bit more powerful. They fight an alien race that you don't know. I had problems with that because like it felt like they demonized the enemy, especially at the end when they end up nuking it, and like there's a little bit of backlash for that in the later films, but I'll look that up. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm doing this podcast while I'm even though it's pre-recorded and I'm reading a whole bunch of notes. There's this thing in Endgame which I'll address later, but there's a glaring error in the film. Oh my gosh. Should I get into it now in Endgame? I might as well since I have my reaction to everyone. So like in Endgame, this is really I really got this later. She refers to Hawkeye. Black Widow is in the scene, and I don't say what's happening, but he's like a rogue agent. Burton's attacking everybody. That's not his name. His name is Cliff Barton, and I want to crack up in the middle of the theater noticing that she said the name wrong. And it was like such a dramatic. Oh, we've been together for 20 years, on the case, in all those missions, and I can't get his last name right. I guess calling him Hawkeye all the time is right, and like it could be like a. I doubt it's supposed to be intended this way, but it could have been like a Big Lebowski thing, which they do reference in the film, where she just says the name wrong by accident. But so hurts the drama and like a drama. In any case, back to my podcast. They do introduce Clint Barton in Avengers, and he's never had a solo film. It's always been to the Avengers films. Possibly another crossover like with Thor or something. They referenced Eric Zellweger from Thor 1. I wonder what I felt about that character. He's not showing them this character. Natalie Portman shows up. I don't know if she's in Star Wars now. Now it's combined to the same Disney universe since. I'll straight up say they don't. As a spoiler alert, they don't introduce Star Wars in this film. They don't introduce the X-Men franchise or Fantastic Four in this either. I don't think Agent Maria. Was it Agent Maria Hill in this film? I can't remember or not, but it wasn't a significant moment. Like she was given in this film. The Avengers, the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show sort of failed, and like this sort of hurt them. Agent Coulson also. They don't reference Hawkeye being mind controlled. He's just straight up killing people in this film. For a good reason. Thor references stuff in this film because like the whole Loki thing in the first film. Iron Man is a very minor character, I feel like, in the Avengers, other than his line against Loki, other than I feel like Thor's probably more of the main character. Maybe Loki's more of the main character, but he barely had conflicts with Loki because there's not really much personal stakes in that. It was just to save the world or whatever. Black Widow and Barton have a moment. That's sort of a thing that doesn't get a good ending for Endgame also. Because I think it's a Whedon film was to I think I mentioned it here before I forget. They don't really have a good moment in Endgame where like they say like they've been partners forever or whatever. It's more of a note on other stuff like the beginning of Endgame, which we'll get to later. Which I'm not gonna get into later, and you'll realize, even if I forget, you'll realize what I was talking about when I address it. They feel Loki as the guy who's trying to take over Earth. I don't get why Loki wants to take over Earth. I don't get why the Chitauri want to take over Earth. I don't get why the ally supposed to fight each other over taking over Earth. That Avengers didn't even form before this, so why did this happen? There's a lot of flaws like that, including like nuking an entire race, and demonizing him, and not making him very entertaining or pathetic. Losing a lot of the drama that way. So I've said both the Whedonisms that were positive in the film and the actors' chemistry, in addition to the failures of developing good enemies for the film. Age of Ultron 2 was better. Ultron had an interesting premise. Albeit they sort of throw it out the window just so it's easy to destroy him, just because Avengers and Marvel, they have to destroy all the characters in every Avengers film for whatever reason. Introduced Black Widow, which gets a very good resolution in Infinity War. With, I'll get into in a moment. The character dies in this film. It'll be interesting how they introduce the X-Men stuff. Hughie Atwell's in this film? I don't recall. Stellan Skarsgård's in this film too. That's very interesting. So he does those films. They do reference the Sokovia cards in Civil War and Endgame. Not so much Infinity War. They introduce a new character. Ultron. So they agreed to make Ultron in the first place, according to this, but I don't recall that happening. So that give that a grain of salt. It's just one about Wikipedia. Strucker's really referenced again. So that's interesting. Like, Stark is responsible for the deaths of the Maximoff's parents. He's treated like a hero in Avengers Endgame, which I debate shouldn't happen also. He's also responsible for like all those deaths in Iron Man, where he like weaponizes and funds all those weapons for all these different countries where all these people are killed. Which I thought was pretty dark in Iron Man. I don't know if that's referenced on purpose, but like there's some interesting stuff there. Cloud was referenced in this film also. She rarely uses visions in these films anymore. They fight off a bunch of robots. I like the references to Terminator. I don't think Steve Rogers argues much in this film. Thor doesn't have anything to do because like there's nothing in Asgard. Bruce Banner and Natasha get linked. They reference that a little bit in Endgame. This doesn't have anything to do with the Thanos stuff, which was disappointing to a lot of people, so they probably introduced it back in Infinity War again. Do more Hydra and Ultron. I don't know if they ever reference the space again. I don't remember that happens. I don't remember what happens to Cho. She was referenced, but I don't remember what happens to her. She was only referenced in the credits of Age of Ultron. I like the drama in this film. Moral dilemmas of creating weapons to like fight in a war. Felt very Iron Man like, actually. So Iron Man is the only point of that. I felt this was a better war film than Civil War was, because everybody like praises Civil War like crazy. Also, like hurts like if you know who Bucky is, like what's gonna happen in the film. Well, people are like, "Oh, this is like the comic book interpretation, so everything's perfect." Everyone's like not an actual replication of the comics. Like, if you read my reviews of V for Vendetta and Watchmen were. Ultron turns into a supervillain, and the Maximoffs turn against him to try and stop him. So downfall of Ultron. So it becomes too cartoony and like has this logic that doesn't make any sense and like contradicts later. But at least he has really interesting dialogue. Thanos not so much, which I'll get into in a moment. Like how they don't really shield at all in Infinity War, which I thought was a bit of a failure. Yeah, that's really weird. They used more Black Panther, possibly because Black Panther became a really popular film and one of the highest grossing films of all time by the time that happened. I felt like everything Civil War did. Let me talk to my friend about that while I'm here. I'm telling my friend about Hawkeye now. The romance between the Vision and there could have been a lot more Scarlet Witch in Endgame. Vision is actually not in the Endgame at all. Just a spoiler for you straight up. Even though he's really important in Infinity War, which is pretty interesting. There's a lot of Scarlet Witch and Hulk. I missed the scene, so I don't know if that was addressed properly. They don't give her as much drama as they do with Tony Stark, though. I don't know how you feel about that. Captain Marvel's in Infinity War. I don't know if she plays a big role. I have to cut this in half soon because like people will be home at 11:50. So back to the third Avengers film, Avengers Infinity War, the first of the Anthony and Joe Russo films after they had done Captain America Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier. Okay, Winter Soldier was before Civil War. I forgot that. I'll probably talk about the Russo films later. I'll talk about the Russo films a lot, actually. I think they have very poor philosophy, very good editing, very good cinematography. They are not great writers, however. Their scripts are very nonsensical. Yeah, people get the idea of them and they go with that, but the technical side, they're not too good. They just like the idea of the films. Always with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely writing their films, it seems. Yep. So Avengers Infinity War. This appearing meme is really good. Has been like people like the effect and it's really grown on them. I don't feel so good no more. What else will they stand up for me? It's like that's not Black Widow. That's I'm sorry, that is Black Widow. That's not Captain Marvel. Having two blondes is really throwing off. Like I don't see why when no one else is a redhead. The Gamora Thanos stuff. Attempted more. Let me address Endgame a little bit here. I feel like Endgame sort of went against that, even though my brother said, like, there's a part I missed where he dresses like There's so many people in the world with the limited population, all that stuff. There's problems with that addressed by Jenny, what's her name, and all the critics of this film. Okay. There's also problems with Thanos' philosophy. Like in Endgame, he just straight up calls them Terrans, which is sort of racist. And Alan Silvestri did the music. That's probably why it's a little bit better. I felt that a lot more in Endgame. People like Loki's death was dramatic. I don't know if he should have died to Thanos. I guess he was trying to save his brother, which is pretty cool. It has an effect on Endgame, and it's probably one of the better dramatic stuff. Albeit he gets killed off way too early. I don't know. I don't know how he can kill a god. Like he's a Asgardian god. Can't they like resurrect him or something? To a Heimdall. It's like people get destroyed. He wants to kill half of the life in the universe, and like he didn't think his whole plan out. Like in Endgame, they straight up address it. Like they live on, and then Thanos like lost all his powers, and he can't like relimit the control of the growth of the life. Like you only need like two offspring for each people, which can happen easily within 5 years. Probably why they chose that time, common with like college children, college students who are adults having children who are parents. Like that becomes a problem. They reunite people after like Thor is like destroyed by Thanos and all that stuff. He doesn't really do any of that in game. He's already destroyed because like he destroyed the end, like Infinity Stones. I even debate like maybe he felt bad for like the cost of doing that by like having his daughter getting destroyed. Peter Parker's death, everyone felt bad for it. Even though it was like second movie, so I felt that was like way too early. Did they ever go after the Mind Stone in game? I don't remember. Like that was the one in Vision's forehead. I guess they went to an earlier time to do that. From Age of Ultron, which I guess is important. Thor. There you go. Endgame and Infinity War. I'm reading this and I don't know why Rogers of all people would think of going to travel to Wakanda for the ability to remove the stone while destroying Vision. I don't know how he would know that. Maybe if they knew someone from Wakanda. That seems like a very curious thing to do. I don't know if they ever go to the Collector. I think he's like destroyed by the time they get. Oh, I think Bautista or Drax fights him over there with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff is pretty good in Endgame. I felt it was like more of a Guardians of the Galaxy film than an Avengers film. This center a lot around Gamora. And like the next film is interesting because it centers around Nebula. Nebulas. They do a lot of stuff with Nebula in Endgame, which is pretty interesting. A lot more Black Panther presence. I felt like they could have done a lot more with him. It wasn't just let him have an army with him. They basically use him instead of Shield from now on for the rest of the Avengers films. can also use the time stone. They don't have Black Panther people or Captain Marvel travel through time. That's interesting. Let me write that down. Someone I know actually completely liked the film, just didn't like it as much as Infinity War. Endings of the characters was interesting. A lot of people like Thanos because of the whole destroy half the life of the universe so that there's overpopulations and not enough resources. Even though he has like the reality gem which like creates everything, it doesn't really use the reality stuff that much in Endgame. Problem, so problem with that is of course like he has a reality gem, just create more resources, just create more space, etc. You have the Infinity Gauntlet, you have a time gem, use population control, you have make people not as interested in having children. There are countries like that, like in China and Japan, can create more resources. You can make planets. You can put oxygen and food on different planets, etc. And if that's a problem in Endgame, because like he like just gives up and doesn't follow up on it, and he lets the population go out of control. Not out of control, but like, come on, Tony Stark had a child, other people are gonna have children. They'll destroy half the world. There's gonna be more population. And then he straight up tries to murder Earth. And I hear the reasoning behind this, I mean, I didn't watch it, was because like he noticed that like his plan didn't work after seeing this reality wishing in the moment. Like, I wonder if Nebula and Vision could have a relationship. They go off on Nebula's stuff from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where she's more of the main character. I feel like she's a lot more interesting in Endgame. She's one of the more very interesting characters in Endgame. They don't bring back the Red Skull even while they do time travel in Endgame. I don't know if it's the Red Skull or some other species. Looks like the Red Skull. Some other super soldier from the Nazis. I should organize the script. I'm just talking about Endgame before I have to go a little bit. I'll just prove it the plot to see if it's actually accurate. That happens. There's some good shipping between Nebula and Tony Stark, Nebula and War Machine. Yeah, it also goes down the drain because, like, I won't address it, but, like, I might as well address it here because, like, I gotta go soon, but, They kill her off, and which prevents that happening. And they already do that already because like Tony Stark meets Pepper Potts and they have a child. I guess you could have bald blue alien child for like Tony Stark. You have like bald blue aliens and purple aliens that everyone likes, like Thanos and etc. And the Hulk, and they ship Hulk with Black Widow, but whatever. Probably everybody likes Rocket Raccoon. Scott Lang returns. They figure out they can time travel. They use the Mobius strip, which is pretty cool if you know like David Lynch stuff. Like they're really personalized Nebula. I really like the football scene. I don't know how it was improvised, but that's a really cool scene. I like how they use acting in like the first 30 minutes, especially they forgot to address like how Hawkeye like lost his family, how the family disintegrates while he's not noticing. And that's the thing, you can't figure out what's going on if you haven't watched the film before, like Infinity War before. It has to be specifically that film, otherwise you're confused. And I think you'd be confused. Maybe you wouldn't see like people disintegrate because like they don't disintegrate in front of you. They just see like the dots. And then he goes rogue. I forget who exactly sees who. So they find Thanos after Carol Danvers saves them. And then 5 years later, they shouldn't go straight to Scotland. They should talk about how Hawkeye went rogue. Like Black Widow talks to Captain America about like what they should do. Captain America's talking about how basically there's like a 9/11 situation where there's like instead of a country trauma, it's like a planet trauma or universe trauma where so many lives are destroyed. And then, I mean, I didn't see people feared. I guess you see him in Infinity War, like all scared and stuff. But like, I thought the premise there was a lot more interesting. Where like, yo, people, half the world died, but like we've gone over lives. Tony Stark has a new child. He doesn't want to get rid of them. Well, like, and their premise was like very anti-Star Trek, very immoral, resurrecting all these people, half the world, after like they were all destroyed, like zombies, like bringing back a possible Hitler. Like, not much time travel components where you can bring back a Hitler. They don't even mention cloning, but like, there's a lot of moral stuff that you can't deal with when they should have just went on. And I felt like that was extremely anti Star Trek. And they specifically mentioned Star Trek when they mentioned time travel. And it's very weird because like they screw up an entire reality. Like the Guardian shouldn't form and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's played off as comedy. And I think it's because of, I'll get to it later, but like it's really weird and nonsensical. But I don't know, like there's a DC universe where Superman becomes Ultraman, a Red Sun Superman, etc. So like I don't know if I should even address how that's nonsensical. Banner warned that changing the past does not affect their present alternate realities. Banner's pretty interesting. He's like this geeky Hulk now. He's taking photos with kids. I didn't know that was Norway. I didn't know where those were. Thor's pretty funny. Just that he's big. Sure, they didn't put this in order at all. We'll be back. I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say about the history of Avengers up to Endgame. Be back.